Hi, my name is Jermaine. Welcome to today's video. This video is going to be a reading vlog. I don't really know how long the video is going to span. It could be a weekend, it could be a week, it could be over a week. It just depends on whenever I want to end this video and how many books I read. This is the tentative TBR. I don't think I'm going to get through all of these. Today I want to start A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. This is the third book in the ACOWAR series, and this is right before A Court of Silver Flames. I read this series as the books were coming out except for A Court of Silver Flames, and I completely forgot everything that happened, but as I'm rereading the series there are some scenes that I do remember, so I want to get started on this today. We follow our main character Farah in the first book as she has a case of Stockholm Syndrome basically. This is almost a 700-page book, so I do maybe want to read something while I'm reading this. Just something more light is The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the second book in the Inheritance games, and I think 1 or 2 months ago I read the first book and to me it was just okay, and these books are so easy to fly through. This is a young adult mystery, it has romance, and this is also really popular on Book Talk. And then just so I finish more books and I get through my physical TBR, I'm thinking about picking up a manga. This is Blood on the Tracks volume 11. I really love this series. This is a horror slash thriller, but maybe more on the horror side. However, it's not really jump scare scary or anything like that. It's more like eerie, creepy. It just discusses a toxic relationship between a mother and son. Basically how far a mother's love will go for her son. And I really recommend this if you're a fan of horror or manga in general. If you're new to manga, this is a good series to start with too. It's just really easy to fly through and the art is simplistic and quiet. It's the plot that gets me. The next book on my possible TBR is Lore Olympus volume 1. This is, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know much about this. I know that this was originally on Webtoons. It's a love story between Hades and Persephone. Don't quote me on that. The 5th volume for this just came out and they said that it was supposed to be the last one. However, there's gonna be one more coming out later this year and that one's gonna be the last one. So I think it's a good time to really start this series right now since it's almost done. If you do want to read this, you can read it for free on Webtoon. And then if I do finish all of those books, I just wanted to lighten everything, especially after ACOWAR. So I chose Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. This came out last year and I did originally plan to read this last year. It made its rounds throughout BookTube and Book Talk, but I read When in Rome and that one was really easy to read. It was okay. I think I gave it like 3 stars. I think it's just gonna be really easy to fly through. Before I leave, I just also wanted to talk about the book that I finished last night. I finished Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. You guys, this, okay, starting off, I gave this 4.5 stars. I didn't give it a 5 stars just because there were some things that annoyed me about both of our main characters, Johnny and Shannon. I can tell that this series might become one of my favorite series. As I'm reading this book, it just feels like I'm watching a TV show about high schoolers. I want to compare it to kind of like Degrassi, the one with Drake, and my camera battery is flashing at me. Just because you follow different high schoolers at the school, I would say this is not for everyone. There is on-page violence in this, so definitely look that up. It took me a really long time because it's over 600 pages, at least in this edition, and some chapters are kind of long, but there are short chapters. I highly recommend. Back in my room and I had to take my contacts out because they were irritating my eyes, so I apologize for the glare of my window on my glasses. I'm coming back on here just with a little update. I'm currently on chapter 4, page 38, so I'm not that far in. I read ACOWAR a few months ago. Before starting this one, I didn't really remember the beginning, but as I started reading on, I remembered a few things that happened at the end of ACOWAR. She doesn't really give you a real recap, but she hints at things that did happen at the ending of the last book, so that was very helpful. She also wove those, how do I say it? She wove those little recap parts kind of seamlessly in the beginning of this novel, so it was really helpful. If you haven't read this series and you haven't read this book, I would definitely recommend not to wait too long before starting this one, just because you might forget everything, and I'm not that good with my memory when it comes to books. As soon as a book is done, it's like out of my head, unless I really enjoy the book or I really hate the book. Those are the only times that I really remember. I also forgot to mention that I'm thinking about picking up Blood on the Tracks either later tonight or tomorrow, just because once I started A Court of Wings and Fury, it was kind of jarring for me jumping from Binding 13 to this. In a fantasy world, the writing is completely different. It's not dense in any way. It's not as simplistic as like a contemporary romance, so I kind of want to read something quick and easy. I'll let you guys know once I start this or if I continue on with ACOWAR. It's now the next day. I have my Alani. I haven't had an Alani since 2 months ago. Recently I've been drinking matcha green tea lattes every morning, but I was craving this, so I come with some updates. Last night I've been reading A Court of Wings and Ruin. I got a good amount in. I got up to part 2, page 99, so I read about 100 pages last night of this. As I was getting ready for bed, I tried reading ACOWAR. It required a little too much brain power before bed, so I decided to pick up a book on my Kindle. It's on Kindle Unlimited. It's The Gargoyle's Captive by Katie Robert. It's part of Katie Robert's series A Deal with a Demon, and these are just really short books. They're mostly smut with a little bit of plot, and I just wanted something super easy, not too much on the brain, and these are monster romances. I've read 3 in the series. The first one I read was The Dragon's Bride. I gave this one 4 stars. The second one I read was The Kraken's Sacrifice, and this one I gave 3 stars. The last one that I read was The Demon's Bargain, and I gave this one 3 stars as well. Last night I started it and I got to chapter 3. All of the books are dual POV. It says I'm 11% done, and they're really short, less than 200 pages or maybe a little bit over 200 pages. I actually did want to get started on Blood on the Track, but I didn't end up getting started on this one, so I'm probably just gonna start this one today, and I'll talk to you guys later with another update. Hey guys, I started Blood on the Tracks volume 11 and I just finished it. These books keep getting darker and darker. I really enjoyed this one and it was super quick to read, but I would rate this one 4 stars. I'm really enjoying where the story is going. There's a plot twist that happens in this one I was not expecting at all. Right now I'm probably gonna go eat some lunch real quick. It's 12:40 at the moment, and then after I'm gonna read a few more pages of A Court of Wings and Ruin. I forgot to mention in the previous clip, even though I'm only 100 pages in, the story, it's really already capturing my attention even if I'm not really in the fantasy mindset. Remember in that last clip when I said I was enjoying ACOWAR? I am enjoying it, but my brain cannot handle a fantasy right now, especially after finishing Binding 13. I just really want something easy and mindless, and I tried reading it right now, but I just can't. Do you also remember how I showed you guys a TBR? Yeah, I don't know if I'm actually gonna follow that TBR. I'm not that good with TBRs. I'm very much a mood reader, so I decided to pick up My Killer Vacation by Tessa Tessa Bailey. This is on my summer TBR. This is actually my first Tessa Bailey. I do want to read It Happened One Summer. I read the first chapter so far, and no spoilers, but the story starts off with our main character going to a beach house, I think in Cape Cod, with her younger brother, and they stay there to have a little vacation after the 4th of July. The vacation house, they end up finding a dead body, and the story starts off from there. So I'm gonna continue reading this. I just really want something mindless that doesn't require a lot of brain power, and I'll let you guys know how this goes. So it's been a few hours. In that time, I took a nap and I read a little bit more of My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. I'm now on chapter 5, page 54. We are introduced to the male main love interest, Miles, and Miles is a bounty hunter. And I don't know if I mentioned this in the previous clip, but this is considered a spicy murder mystery. Our main character, Taylor, one of her hobbies is listening to true crime podcasts, and naturally characters like that in mysteries love to join in the sleuthing. She wants to help Miles find who killed Oscar, the owner of the vacation house, and that's how far I got so far. It's already 6 o'clock in the day, so I'm just gonna continue on for the rest of the night to reading in increments, and then once I get ready for bed, I'm really gonna dive in as much as I can. Nothing crazy happened so far. I'm looking for something really mindless, and this is definitely delivering. I don't think this is gonna be a 5, maybe even 4 star, most likely 3. I'm not that far in and I still have a lot to go, so the story can go anywhere, but I'll let you guys know possibly later tonight or either tomorrow of how far I get and what I'm thinking of it. I just have to say this before my camera battery dies, but I'm currently reading A Court of Wings in Ruin. I know that not a lot of people like Nesta just because I think she can be kind of stubborn and set on her ways, very outspoken and blunt. Court of Silver Flames is based on her story, so a lot of people say that they didn't like Nesta in ACOWAR and that part of the series, but then they start liking her in A Court of Silver Flames. She's more prevalent in this book, even more so than the first 2 ones, and I actually don't mind her, and I know that I'm in the minority for that, but she's not that bad. This isn't a spoiler, but she's really protective of Elaine, their youngest sister, just because Elaine is more reserved and soft-spoken. Feyre and Nesta both want to protect her at all costs. I added too much milk in my matcha, as you guys probably saw. Good morning, I'm back with another update, and I have some things to share with you. I'm currently 230 pages in ACOWAR. I know earlier in the video I said that it was a little bit too much for my brain, but my brain she's getting it now. So at this moment we're basically just gathering everyone before the big scene happens. I want to continue on with mostly reading this today, and then I also have moved on with My Killer Vacation. I'm on page 179, and it's really just okay. Basically in this, our 2 main characters, they come up with a deal because our female main character is kind of inexperienced in, you know what I'm talking about. Even being over halfway through the book, they still haven't actually done it. They've done stuff and it has been spicy, but there's something holding our main male character back from actually going through with it. I think his reason is valid, but we all know where this is gonna go, so. And then I also wanted to say that this does have summer vibes, and our main characters, they go snorkeling, they go to the beach, but the male main character, he's actually divorced. And I know that we don't really see that often in romance books where they're divorced. Well, maybe in single dad tropes. I actually don't know if I've ever read a single dad trope, so this is new for me, and I'm really enjoying that aspect because it is something different. But anyways, moving on, I do have quite a few things to do today. So I just recently got a new car, and I have to move out those things from my old car into the new car and organize everything. So that's what I'm gonna go do today. And I also have to repot my devil's ivy plant because I recently propagated it, and I'll try to include some b-roll of that so that you guys can see if you guys are interested in plants. At the bookshelf, meaning this video is coming to a close end. I have several updates for you guys. Starting off, let's talk about ACOWAR. I'm on chapter 36, page 254, and the story is definitely picking up so far. I would say that this one has more action than ACOMAF so far, and I'm enjoying it. I don't know yet if I'm enjoying it more than ACOMAF, but so far so good. I think if I were to rate this right now, I would give it a 4 stars. I'm gonna continue reading this throughout the next few days and hopefully finish it up soon. And next I'll be talking about the next few books that I ended up finishing for this video, starting off with Blood on the Tracks, volume 11 by Shuzo Oshimi. Let me get my phone so I can give you guys my ratings. I ended up rating this a 4 stars, and I really enjoyed it. I think that this series is continually getting darker and darker, and from what I read online, they said that as the covers of the books get darker and darker, it means that the story and plot is getting darker and darker. I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but that's just what I read, I think, on Reddit. And then I actually did end up finishing My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. I ended up rating this a 2 stars. I have quite a few things to say about this. Once we found out which character actually murdered the owner of the vacation house, it wasn't really shocking in any way. It was a character that I don't even really remember being introduced to. Maybe that's my fault because I wasn't paying close enough attention. Oh, and then this is what I wanted to say. I would say that this is a mild spoiler. If you don't want to hear the spoiler, you can skip to this time right here. Our female main character, Taylor, as I mentioned, she went on vacation to Cape Cod. After the end of the vacation, she went back home to Connecticut, and our main male character, he follows her home, essentially moves into her apartment right away, and that just didn't sit right with me. Another thing that I didn't enjoy from this novel is that their whole love story takes place within 5 days, which is very unrealistic. Towards the end of the book, they mentioned that they already love each other, which I think was a little too drastic. Everything regarding the romance happened so fast that I feel like I didn't even get to know Miles and Taylor that much. I don't really enjoy reading epilogues in romance novels just because they all kind of end the same and you know where they're going. Maybe unless I really like and enjoy the characters, then I'll bother reading the epilogue. But for this, 2 stars. Maybe if I read it a few years ago, I probably would have enjoyed it more. The next book I actually ended up reading was Lore Olympus, volume 1. By Rachel Smith. I ended up rating this a 3.5 stars on Goodreads. It was fine. I feel like we're just getting introduced to everyone, to all of the characters. I feel like as I continue to move on throughout the series, then I'll enjoy it more. Just from the vibes that I get, I can tell that we're gonna be following a whole cast of characters, and it'll probably be a found family moment. Our main character in this, was it Persephone? We follow our main character, Persephone, who's a new goddess in the world of Olympus. She's the daughter of Demeter, and Demeter raises her in the mortal realm, basically our world. Persephone moves into Olympus, and Persephone attends this party where she meets all of the other Greek gods. At the end of this party, Persephone meets Hades, and they form a friendship. If you're thinking about picking up the series, you don't really need to know much about Greek gods. All of my knowledge about Greek gods originally comes from Percy Jackson. Unfortunately, in the beginning of the video, I shared with you guys a TBR, which I didn't entirely follow, and I didn't end up getting to Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams and The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I'm hoping to get to this one pretty soon. I'm just craving short chapters specifically. I'm planning on doing a June wrap-up, and these two books might end up being in that video. And if you want to see my thoughts on possibly these two books, you can tune into my June wrap-up. This vlog did end up spanning over a week. I think I filmed exactly a week ago, so I think I'm gonna end the video here. Thank you guys so much for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you could please leave a like and a comment, and don't forget to subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time.